Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Starseed Immersion podcast. Today, I have my beautiful friend, Kelly Boyer, with me. She is a mental alchemist and Hermeticism practitioner who helps women unlock their inner power through her ClEARITY method, which is a transformational process rooted in ancient wisdom and energy mastery. Her work empowers women to release limiting patterns, reconnect with their essence, and live aligned, soul-led lives. With a background in intuitive healing, subconscious reprogramming, and quantum design, she guides women to remember their wholeness and rise into lives of clarity, freedom, and purpose. Oh, I'm so excited about today's topic. Thank you so much for being here, Kelly.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited about today's topic too.
You've been on my show before, but recently you've delved deeper into the mastery of these ancient wisdoms that are now really prominent, right? So I kind of want to hear a little bit about your background and how, I guess, this ancient wisdom has been coming to you.
Yeah, well, it's been really interesting because you know that like my the way the way that my world works is I'm constantly getting downloads. And I've been really enjoying the downloads that I've been getting because whereas before they would be kind of more intuitive, kind of day-to-day hits, I've been receiving a lot more universal and cosmic information, which I feel is really important because we're moving into that 5D, into that new earth, which, you know, we need all the cosmic help we can get. I mean, that's just what it is. And like cosmically, I'm talking about like on a multi-dimensional level, including the universe that we currently live in. A while back, I had gotten a download about my clarity method, and my clarity method has 8 pillars to it. And for me, that's a practical knowledge because we still live on Earth. We still need to be able to connect, as they say, as above, so below, but we need to bridge that. And when I got that, I was like, okay, so now here's the bridge, but what is it that I'm exactly bridging, right? Is it intuitive healing? Is it this? Is it that? And it wasn't that I mean, it encompasses all of that, but the truth of the matter is I knew that there was something bigger connected to it. And then all of a sudden, I went to bed, and then the entire night, I get all of these downloads. And it was really beautiful because it was a lot of mathematics, a lot of sacred geometry, which is very mathematical. And I started to learn that the universe really is created out of numbers and geometry. And in that, uh, I got, I'm going to say, I got like a healthy dose of Hermeticism, which is really, really like an ancient practice from so long ago. And it was showing me the 7 principles, which are really universal laws or truth that we live, that we actually experience on a cosmic level all the time, whether we know it or not. And what I realized is that I had gotten a heavy download of the 7 Hermetic principles, which was created way, way back by a mystic called Hermes. And I'm a butcher his name, but I always get it wrong. But it's Trismegistus is how you say it. I think I said it right. So, anyways, he just knew about the cosmos. And when we talk about the cosmos, we're not talking about just our galaxy. We are talking about the infinite cosmos, the infinite source. And out of that, with his downloads that he received, it was these 7 principles. Well, I was sitting there thinking, well, how does these 7 principles in my clarity method correlate? And they actually really do because each pillar connects with one of these 7 principles, and we need them in order for us to live as above, so below. And so my clarity method is a practical guide on how to live day to day with these 7 principles. And in these 7 principles, if you like, we can have an intellectual knowledge of it, but unless we embody it and actually live them, like we really can create our reality. We really can manifest. And I started to realize that, we talk about manifesting all the time. And I was like, well, I try to manifest and then it takes forever for it to come. Like what's happening? But all of this coming together for me really helped me understand how the universe really operates. And we are all operating within that harmonic field. So I was like, it's really important. Well, it was important for me to understand, but I also think it's important for others to understand. So when they are using, whatever spiritual tool they're using, that they need to also understand that that spiritual tool is bound by an even larger truth. And if we're missing that larger truth, then I don't want to necessarily say we're only doing half the work, but that's where all those questions come up where people are like, I'm doing all of the work, but and that's the piece that we're missing, right? So, um, yeah, like that's just where like it just kind of all came together for me. But I'm very grateful that I received these downloads, even though it was a bit torturous because I was like, I don't understand what this means until it all comes together, of course.
I really love like the vulnerability in your share because I think where we're moving towards, like those of us who are leading, this is how we receive information. Like we are the bridge between the unseen and the seen, and we get things in forms of energy, in forms of visions, in form of downloads, and then you kind of have to like try to figure it out in human language, how to translate energy and feelings and visions,
It's
and
like
then put it into a framework that other people can follow. And even for me, I realize that's really hard. It's like we understand the universe is so much bigger, and yet our brain and our perception has a really, really linear understanding of how life works. So, how do we take this big concept and then put it in words or in ways in which we can understand it practically and yet still work energetically within the quantum, right?
Well, I think, there's so many amazing modalities out there. Like, that I'm a lover of human design, which is really a tool and a modality. There's like astrology. There's all sorts of different types of healing, like chakra healing, angel healing. All of it is helpful, whatever resonates with you. But I understand your question because it is, how do we have all of these tools, right, to help us, but what is it that we're using these tools for to really bridge? And it really is, in my opinion, on a grander scale of things. Like it's like we always start off living in the microcosm, right? Where it's about us. And then the people that are around us. But what we don't realize is that even in that microcosm, we are affecting the actual macrocosm. And we have to understand how both works in order to really live like that spiritually and purposeful filled life. Because I feel like this is the piece that's missing because again, people always say, "Well, I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to, but I don't understand what my purpose is." Well, your purpose here is to have experiences. And we get to choose, the free will comes in where we get to choose how we want to have those experiences. But I think some of the confusion that happens is people are like, well, I'm having this experience, but it's not turning out how I want. Or if we get to create our reality, why is my outside world like not my reality that I'm thinking that I'm wanting? And we leave out that piece that we are still connected to a much bigger thing, which is that macrocosm. And it's in that macrocosm where these universal laws and truths come into play. And these are going to come into play before anything else on our little micro field that we play on. And we forget about that. I forgot about that for years. Actually, it wasn't even that I forgot about it. I just didn't really, I heard about it, but I never connected it. And I never thought that it was important because I'm like, I'm doing angel healing. I'm clearing my chakras. I'm doing Reiki. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm playing in the quantum. Well, that piece in the quantum that I missed was even the bigger picture. And we live among these different fields, but the ultimate field is that harmonic resonant field that we are all connected to. And I'm not just saying all as in human beings, every single being and creature within the cosmos is connected to that field.
Mhm.
And so I think that we forget about that. Or I think sometimes our brain wants to stay like this. But when we really take a step back and we really look, it is much, much bigger than us just here on Earth. Like, I mean, that's just what it comes down to. But the one thing in the download that I did receive is that as big as our cosmos is, and all of the beings and creatures and everything that resides in this harmonic resonance all follow these principles.
Mhm.
And and our galactics really understand how these principles work. We're still learning them.
Yes. So can you dive into what the principles are? And you mentioned it was seven of them, right?
Yes. So I there are seven principles and I have eight pillars, if anybody caught that in the beginning, but it all correlates. And I'll share all that with you. The first principle is the law of mentalism. And that means that all, and I'm talking capital all, which is within all of source, okay, is mind, meaning that our thoughts are constantly shaping our reality, which is that microcosm, and our thoughts are constantly shaping that macrocosm, which is that harmonic resonance. So when I was kind of questioning this, okay, tell me more about this. The way that it really made sense to me was, like Nikki, you know that I'm a freaking science nerd. I love to watch stuff about the universe. So I was sitting on my couch, eating my dinner, watching how the universe works, and they had mentioned that our universe, not just our galaxy, they're talking about the infinite universe because there's no end to it, just keeps expanding and expanding and expanding. And they were questioning why. And I was like, yeah, like how is that happening? The moment I ask a how question, stuff comes in. And then all of a sudden I started getting all of these downloads. And it really is the law of mentalism that is creating that constant expansion within that harmonic resonance, within source. Like source is constantly expanding. And it has to do, and I'm gonna say with us and all of the other beings out there, is through our mind consciousness. Every time we have a thought, every time that we have a feeling, we are affecting that harmonic resonance. We're affecting that field. Imagine you as an individual, we have over 60,000 thoughts in our head a day. So imagine just if we just take the earth where there's something like 4.8 billion, it could even be more people. So imagine 4.8 billion people having 60,000 thoughts a day that then goes out into the macrocosm. Can you imagine what that expansion is on a constant level? Like it is expanding at the speed of light, right? And then now, if we take all of I can even tell you how many galactics, angels, whatever, that is out there within our field. And even if I mean, I don't know how many thoughts a day they have, but if we correlate it to the human, and let's say they're having 60,000 thoughts a day, we are constantly creating all that is with just our thoughts. And that's how powerful we are. And so that's the law of mentalism. So when we talk about the law of mentalism, we really want to pay attention about how we're feeding not just I'm going to say the collective, but the actual harmonic resonance because it ripples out and it all has an effect. And it doesn't only just affect us, but it's affecting everything that is infinitely created in this field. It's it's affecting all of that.
I
And so
have
we
so many questions.
Yes, yes, please. Like I'm gonna tell you, this law is like the law that like if you don't remember any of them, like this is the main law you want to remember because that is how much we affect everything moment to moment to moment. But go
Mhm.
ahead, ask your question.
Because, like, is it possible for higher dimensional beings to have thought process versus them telepathically communicating with just consciousness? Like, is thought the same as consciousness?
So we call it thought, but what we're really talking about is mind. So when we talk about the word mind, it's about consciousness itself.
Mm.
So even telepathically, that is a consciousness. So when they communicate or however it comes in telepathically, I mean, like I said, we don't know all the information about that. I mean, like this may sound offensive, but maybe they do sit there all day, like mind numbed until they have something telepathically to share. But I, I, I just got like, no, that is not true. Like a condescending, like, no. So even telepathically, when we speak of the mind, we are truly talking about consciousness. And so we have a brain and we have a mind. Our mind is what makes up that consciousness. So, I mean, that's what we call it here. We could call it like whatever the galactics want to call it. I'm pretty sure that they probably just call it consciousness, but it's all of the same thing and we're feeding all of the same field. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, it does. Because then, the second thing that came up was my understanding is because the beings of higher frequency, they vibrate or operate in pure divine love. So it's like they don't have negative thought, but us in duality, experiencing polarity and stuff, we have negative thoughts. So, like, even if we have negative thought, it expands in our reality, right?
Mhm. So I love that you said that because that will go into the next law, which is the law of correspondence, which I think a lot of people do know. I don't know, I may be wrong on that. But the law of correspondence is as above, so below, as within, so without. So really what that means, it talks about the patternings within our life um, that repeat across all levels. And it could be as simple if we're talking on a macrocosm. It could be I have this pattern that showed up at work. I have this pattern, and this same pattern is showing up in my relationship with my family. This pattern also shows up in my relationships with my friends. This pattern shows up in the relationship that I have with the outer world in general. So that's on that microcosm, right? So really what it's talking about is, and this does connect to the law of mentalism, how we vibrate. I'm going to tell you all of these laws connect with one another, but like how we are vibrating, how we are feeling. And I'm talking about truly feeling because on a logical level, we could be like, I'm so happy. But there is a vibrational frequency, and you'll feel that resistance when you're like, I'm so happy, if you're not so happy, right? If that is not true to the vibration you are, you do feel a little bit of resistance. But like how we feel and what we're creating on the inside truly does reflect our reality on the outside. Why is that happening? And so, with the law of correspondence, we do want to look at beliefs because it's our beliefs that create these patterns. And it doesn't necessarily mean that I have to go way back into my past life because it probably is in that past life, which is why you're experiencing it now. It can be as simple as, well, why do I believe that I'm not good enough? Right? So if I'm not good enough, then that may be the pattern that says I'm not good enough to lead this group, and this group of people are not good enough. So then we're not good enough to get along with everyone else. I'm not good enough in my family, whatever role it is that I'm playing. I'm not good enough in my friendships. And then guess what? When you go out into the external world, you are emanating that vibratory frequency. So when you connect with people, they don't even know it, but their energy is reading, oh, this person isn't good enough for me to talk to. And I'm using that as just an example because it really can be anything. So when we talk about as above, so below, as within, as without, we still have to be careful because everything that we do affects that ultimate harmonic resonant field. So if I'm emanating, I am not good enough, that is going into the field. Well, guess what? If there is somebody else and I say somebody else, and I'm talking about any other being that has a frequency that is matching that, I am now feeding that frequency for them because we are all connected. So we really need to be mindful. And I'm not saying that we need to go out and like save or cure everybody else's thoughts. We are not responsible for everybody else but ourselves. So if I can work on me and I can identify when a belief comes up, I get to choose how I want that pattern to continue forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. And then one of the questions that came through was like how so many of our lifetimes are affecting the lifetime now, but we don't, but what you were saying is we don't necessarily have to go back to them. It's just awareness that if it's showing up right now, there's a still a belief system behind it, right? Like there's still something that's affecting us vibrationally. And if we can just under or shift that vibration, then we would have addressed it.
So, and like we also have to take into account that we all came in here to learn something too. So that deeper rooted belief is in whatever we decided that we want to come in as. So literally yesterday, I was doing some like major healing work with this amazing healer, and it hit me that my contract, like that's since that's what we call it, that's what I came in to learn truly is love. And that's what my underlining belief will always be. However it transpires, it will be connected to love. But mine was to come in to learn how to love. And if I really think about all the past lives that I've had, it is that law of correspondence is that theme. It's always been that theme until I learn how to not judge it. So I'm going to experience relationships with like betrayal. I'm going to experience relationships of rejection. I'm going to experience that. And what I mean by like my outside world is going to reflect that until I can see, well, wait a minute, this is all connecting to my belief of I can't be loved, or I like or the other symptom is I'm not good enough. And until I can look at that without judgment, or if I like let's say that I have a friendship that all of a sudden just kind of withdraws themselves, I need to be able to look at it and be able to if it can affect me without judgment, then I have come in to fulfill the contract that I have. But I'm going to tell you that's the hardest contract to try to fulfill because that is the deepest thing. And I made that agreement with Source. I said, "Okay, I'm going to come in and my experience is my experience, but I'm going to try to learn what love, and I'm talking about LOVE, like the capital LOVE, not, the love of an intimate partner or like friends or children. Those are just experiences, but the ultimate gift of love is." And I would be a liar if I said I'm still not trying to learn that.
Yeah, I think we all are. Like it's a never, like with everyone I interview, it's a never-ending process. Like no matter where you are in your journey, the healing never ends, which is a little disappointing. Because
What?
it's like, because they're like what one of my speakers said was it keeps you humble and connected to the work that you're here to do.
There you go. I love it. I love that they said that. But the truth is we know that we have reached healing when we no longer judge it. Like I
Yeah.
said, like if that friend withdraws themselves from me and I'm no longer judging it, and I mean judging it as like I blame them and then I blame myself and then I am like I reject them and then, as like that cycle that goes back and forth that we often feel because we are human. But the moment that I no longer judge it and I can go back and be like, oh, that's part of my lesson of learning to love myself first, to love the world, right? So now, like when I don't have judgment about that, when I don't have judgment about betrayal happening or rejection or any of that, then I know that I have reached a level of healing. And that's like, and to go back to your point, like that's not the only thing that we heal, but there is that one major thing that we came in because we said, okay, source, or even through our oversoul, this is what I'm coming in to have this particular experience. But the beautiful thing is that we're so unique. So when we have that experience and we're feeding the oversoul into Source, because that's what Source is just so curious. Source gets to experience that by two different ways. And that is also expanding our world, which is creating that law of mentalism, right? That's expanding at exponential rate.
Okay,
Okay,
I'm thinking about this
I
bit.
think these will go a little bit faster because I think, like I said, mentalism is the biggest law, and then correspondence, understanding our inside out, right? But then we talked about it already is vibration and just understanding that nothing rests. Like even this table that my computer is on is in motion, right? So that's the same thing about us and with it and what's inside of us. Even when we're sleeping, we are still vibrating. So it's really important for us to do things to raise our vibration, whether that's dancing to music, playing with your kids, doing art like you do. For me, is playing soccer. Like anytime that we can do anything to raise our vibration, the more we raise our vibration, the more centered we become inside. So then the law of correspondence starts to center, and then we can create that consciousness. The way that we expand consciousness is at a more positive level than a negative level. So then the next one is polarity. So we have a world that's built on polarity, right? I'm assuming that everybody knows what that is. It's really the opposite of the same thing, just at different degrees. So when we talk about good and bad, let's take that as an example. It's actually the same thing. It's just imagine a pendulum swinging. So in the middle, good and bad is just honestly is just behavior. Like how am I going to choose to be, right? We can have the pendulum swing one way where I'm just going to be naughty as hell and just be really bad, or like really create a world that like involves fear and everything, or I'm going to be really good and I'm going to really do what I can to just help this world become better. But the truth of the matter is, it's the same, polarity is always the same thing. So if you can find what that neutral root is, then you can have a better understanding of like good, bad, light, dark. But that neutral stance is actually there, either whether it's good or bad. It's actually it's actually a positive thing because it's there to teach us something. Like we cannot have light without darkness.
Yeah.
So its polarity is actually a really good thing because we would never understand. And then the next thing is rhythm. And this usually falls in, this is what I realize answers that question of manifesting when people are like, I'm doing everything right, but it is not appearing. Rhythm is all about cycles and tides of life and energy.
Mhm.
So we could sit here and really, really want that Lamborghini car. But if we are not in the cycle of whatever that is, we need to remember we're not going to get it in 2 weeks. We may get it, may be in a year, it may be in 5 years. It depends on the cycle of your life and how that connects to like the universal field, that harmonic field. So we all go through cycles. And this is one of the things that I think can be a little bit more challenging to figure out. But once you start figuring out your cycles of how things work in your life, it will also help you to understand manifestation. So if I'm at my prime right now, like right now is the time to manifest. If I am not in my prime, and you will know by the way that the outside world is reflecting back to you or the way your vibration feels, maybe don't manifest, try to manifest then. Doesn't mean you can't have the idea. Maybe not manifest it then, because let's face it, when we all try to manifest and it doesn't come true, we feel like crap and we think there's something wrong with us. But that's not true. It's just we have to know what the rhythm of life is, if
Mm,
that makes sense.
that's a really big one. I feel when you're surrender and you're guided by source, there's no attachment. Like that was something I was trying to well say with like the difference between source manifestation and ego manifestation. It's like source manifestation, whatever you're guided intuitively is like the right experience for you because it's connected to your higher guidance.
Mhm.
And somehow, some way, it always is soul fulfilling. Like it's always fulfilling, right?
Yes.
Versus ego manifestation, like why am I not getting the car? Why am I not getting the house? Why am
Mhm.
I not getting X, Y, and Z? And it's like if it's according to your cycles and it's not your time, then it's always disappointing. Yeah.
It's really important to like figure out the tides of your life. And it's not to say that even though if my ego is like I really want this Lamborghini, But really, really look at it from a bigger perspective because it doesn't mean that you can't have the Lamborghini. But the question is, and as it connects to the right vibration, what is the intent of wanting the Lamborghini?
Mm.
Maybe the intent is I want a Lamborghini because I just want to give children the ride of their lives, like to be in this expensive car. I don't know, but we always need to know what the intent is behind that, right? So that's also part of those cycles, right? And so this is going to lead into cause and effect. So let's go back to the Lamborghini idea. Maybe I want a Lamborghini and my intent is I want to show it off. I want people to see me. I want to be like bougie, whatever it is. All of that is ego driven, right? So we need to remember the next one is law of cause and effect. We always are putting in motion something that is the cause. And a lot of times we are actually very blind to the effect that it ripples out. Anytime we put something into motion, it doesn't just affect your immediate environment. Again, it goes back on a microcosm level. I'm sorry, a macrocosm level. We are affecting that field of harmonic resonance. So a lot of times cause and effect comes into play when we talk about victimhood, right? So yes, the cause may be somebody did this to you. You can have the tr you can have the tr you can kind of have the view of, well, am I going to be the effect of that? Or because it's going to affect someone, something, somewhere. But you have the choice of that. Or can I put a cause in motion that says, this happened to me, so my cause in motion is I'm going to go out and speak about it so women know how to protect themselves, so that men have a better understanding of how anger is not and how anger and like let's say abuse is not appropriate. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Everything we do has a cause and effect. When you wake up in the morning, if you decide that maybe this morning I'm not going to meditate and instead I'm going to go have breakfast, there will be a cause and effect to that. Every time that we make a choice about anything. And it's not saying that the effect is always negative. I think that's kind of how we view it. The effect could be so positive. The cause could be I go out there and earn $1 million to put back into humanity. Cause and effect. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then the last one is gender. And it's not gender as like you and I are females, our sons are males. It's gender in the sense of masculine and feminine energy. We all have masculine and feminine energy. Masculine and feminine energy vibrate in all of our fields. So it is really about balancing that masculine feminine energy. So we have to balance the doing, which is the masculine energy, with the receiving of the feminine. So going back to like the downloads, the receiving that we get of the downloads is actually the feminine energy that we're sitting in. We then, if it is something that we are led to do, we then put that into action or doing, which is the masculine energy. And when we have a balance of that, life is pretty harmonious.
Perfect. So all of those work together. And I think those are really important to know because now you know what the principles are. And then how does your clarity method kind of organize those principles into a practical, applicable experience?
Perfect. Okay. So, like I said earlier, the clarity method really is a practical way of doing that because intellectually we could know about all of these principles, but how do we put these principles into actual, like something that is relevant for us and how our life works, right? So like the first pillar is channel the now, which aligns with mentalism. When we're channeling the now, part of that is okay, where am I in this present moment? And identifying what are these thoughts that I'm currently having. So, a good example is when you're having a really bad day and you're like, nothing is working. I always love when people are like, I have really bad luck, which I don't believe in luck. And you're sitting there, right? So, the channel the now, it's just taking a breath. really going inward and channeling in, where am I in this present moment? What are my thoughts? And not judging the thoughts, because maybe the thoughts are, I can never get anything right, nothing ever works out for me, and that's okay. That's all that step is. What are my thoughts? What are these thoughts that I'm currently having? But the application is also remembering, okay, these thoughts, are they serving me? Are they working for me? Are they creating that reality that I want to create? Which then moves into the next one, which is locate the pattern, which aligns with correspondence. Now I've identified these thoughts. They are now in my awareness. What pattern are they connecting to? And then like that pattern, what belief is it truly connecting to? And once we start really identifying that, everything is about awareness. We bring it up to awareness, right? So now I understand my pattern. And this pattern, and if you really think about it, like your deep patterns do affect you across all parts of your life on that, even on that multidimensional level, right? So now I've created that pattern. The next thing is going to be going into embodying the essence, which is about vibration. Your essence is your vibration. Okay, so how is my vibration feeling? Well, when I think that, nothing ever goes my way, I instantly feel my body just be like, "Ugh," right? It drops. So obviously, I'm at a lower vibration. I can choose to shift that vibration. And it may not necessarily mean that I'm trying to shift it, choosing to shift by thinking, I'm wonderful, I'm amazing, all those affirmations that we talk about. Maybe choosing to shift your vibration is, okay, I'm feeling this way. I'm going to go do an activity or I'm going to do something that raises my vibration. Maybe I need to journal it out,
Mhm.
right? For me, I'm going to go play soccer and I'm going to kick those balls as hard as I can in the net, right? But there's something about that raises my vibration and I can choose to do that. Or no judgment, you can choose to sit in that vibration if that's what you're needing. But we really want to embody the essence of a higher vibration because once we hit that higher vibration, you cannot tell me when you are vibrating at a higher vibration, when you are happy, you cannot feel sadness. Do you know what I mean? Like unless you become sad.
Yes.
So that's part of embodying that essence. The next one is access the timeline. So what that really is about polarity. Our timelines really show us the dualism that we live in, the polarity of everything. So maybe right now, in my life, like maybe I want to have a really successful business, and maybe it's not quite working how I imagined it. We can go into the timeline and literally we're shifting into the polarity of that other timeline to take a look at that polarity, right? To look at that timeline where I am successful and I am doing everything right and I have an abundance of clients and I have all of this. But there's also another timeline that does the drastic shift where I try to, like, maybe I want to have a business, but the truth of the matter is I don't have motivation to do it. Maybe I'm not in a place where I can really start that. Maybe I don't quite have the financial means to start it. So we need to go in and look at all of those timelines, right? To have a better objective view of what do I need to create on this timeline to maybe go on to the timeline where I am successful. Or maybe I really don't have the motivation to do it, and that's okay, and I can choose to stay on this timeline. Or maybe find another timeline. Like, I'm telling you, when we talk about timelines, like even the timeline that is like the bleh timeline has polarities that then come out in it. Does that make
Mhm.
sense? So it's really about seeing the polarities and what do you really, really want. So we are looking at those possibilities across different spectrums.
And so people can access their own timelines, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. We do it all the time and we don't realize that we do it. The moment that we sit there and we go, you know what? I really want that ice cream, right? And then you sit there and you start daydreaming about your ice cream. You're actually accessing a timeline. You're accessing that frequency. And then you're thinking about that frequency and how good it tastes. And then all of a sudden you may switch and then it goes to the timeline that says, "Oh my gosh, I'm really lactose intolerant." Do you know what I mean? And that's actually another timeline, and we don't realize it. We are shifting timelines constantly. And a lot of those timelines come from that first law of mentalism of like that thought, right? Because now I'm thinking, oh, I'm lactose intolerant and I don't want to be spending the entire day in the bathroom, right? So, so we are always accessing those timelines. But once you find that timeline that you like, we then want to start recalibrating our frequency to that, which is really about rhythm. Because that timeline can show us that's where we want to be. But if I am in a season of life where that is not part of my rhythm, it doesn't mean that that timeline goes away. I can choose to start aligning my frequency and my vibration to it until it finally comes together.
Mhm.
So we have to start aligning with the rhythm so that we can have that timeline, that higher timeline of eating that ice cream and not having the other one.
Well, a good one is the one with your house. Can you tell us your example of your house that you like you tapped into the timeline of you having the home. But you
Yes.
know that it's not right now because your son's in school. So like what are you doing right now to align with that?
Well, so funny that you say that because before I even moved into this house, I was selling, I had my house on the market, and you'll see how this kind of aligns. There's something about my house, and my house is a perfect example of rhythm. And so I had put my house up on the market, and I was like, I'm gonna move and I'm gonna move into this one place, which was really naturey, which if anybody knows me, I will love nature. I want to live in nature. Like I want to literally hug trees every day. But it was really interesting because even though my mind was like, this is what I'm gonna do, I'm ready to go. There was like I could feel that the rhythm was off, and it was very clear in my external world. Like my realtor wasn't really working for me. I had like a million open houses, and people wanted my house, but like the price they were giving me, I would actually end up losing money on, which is not what you want to do when you sell a house, by the way. So and so finally I let it go, and I realized this will come, like if it's meant for me, it will, when it's my cycle of time, it will come into fruition. So I started kind of feeling that I didn't give up holding on to that timeline, or like holding the frequency of that timeline of moving. I just surrendered what that would look like.
Oh,
But
okay.
I knew I was aligned with the frequency of moving. And then one time I spent the weekend with my son. We went to nap. I don't know why everything happens when I go try to sleep. But I went to take a nap, and all of a sudden, the download that I got, I saw the house that I currently live in, exactly how it's outlined. I knew exactly where it was supposed to be. I even got the date of when to put my house up on the market and to fire my realtor and get a new one. And I did all of that. So I got my realtor. I put my house up on the market on March 23rd. I knew that in exactly 45 days was when it was going to sell, or at least go into escrow. And then I knew exactly what my house was going to look like and where to get it. And all of it came into fruition. So I
Mhm.
have that itch again where I know I'm going to be moving to nature. I have, I can see the timeline of exactly how my house looks, but I also know it's not in the rhythm of my life right now. But how I can align my frequency to that is I know that I'll be living next to water. So I love to journal. So now I sit outside, I journal, and I play sounds of water.
Oh.
Are like those are examples of like stuff that I do. Or I know that when I live there, I'm going to be walking outside barefoot. Granted, I live in Arizona, so there's a lot of rocks, so I'm very cautious on how I do that. But you know what I bought? I bought that fake grass, like a square of it, and I walk on that as if I'm walking out in nature, and I'm feeling into that vibratory frequency that is connected to that. And the
Oh.
more I connect, the clearer my house looks. Like I can feel the closer that it's coming.
Can I ask you something? And this is more of a personal question, but what if like I'm very indecisive, like I'm a very indecisive person. So recently what I've been doing is connecting to the frequency of just pure source consciousness and then allowing that to inform my field of what to do next.
I think that's perfect because when I'm going to tell you, even though we talk about accessing the timeline and I talked to you, like I just shared that example of like my previous house and how it all fell into place. When you connect into it, you are connecting into pure core source consciousness. But in
Mm,
order for us to do that, we have to surrender everything else that our mind, I'm going to say our mind, our brain
yes,
wants to create.
always.
Yes, I feel like the more that you do that, the more you'll no longer say that you're indecisive, which is probably not, no offense, you probably don't want to say that anyways, because the moment you say I'm very indecisive, it then pulls up all of those other laws. What is the belief? Where is that pattern, right? So that's kind of an example of it.
I'm
So
decisive if I know it's pure source consciousness and not an ego thought.
there you go. See, like, so but like we are tapping into pure source consciousness because source wants to have experiences. So it does create these opportunities and these experiences for us to have.
Yeah.
And it is pure source consciousness. Everything that we do is pure source consciousness. We just don't believe that it is. And we think it's something that we have to obtain. And we don't. We have it inside of us. There's not anything special that we have to do. We just have to recognize that that's what we're doing
Mhm. Got
and
it.
believe that we're doing it, right?
Yes.
So, okay, so I'm going to keep going to the next one. So the
Okay.
next pillar is I, which is integrate the truth. And this is about the cause and effects. It's really embodying conscious choices. So I can connect to that timeline and be like, ooh, I really, really want that ice cream. Then I get in the car and I decide that I'm going to go have a burger instead, right? So the cause of getting in the car and making a different decision, the effect is I have the burger. And I'm putting these in very simple terms. And now I'm going, well, I never got my ice cream. Well, that wasn't the choice that I made, right? Even though I was like, I'm going to go get my ice cream and then I eat a big fat burger. So we have to realize like part of integrating that truth is part of that kind of that masculine energy. And I'll use the example of my house, like what we were saying about my house. I am starting to integrate the truth when I sit outside and I journal and I listen to water. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's doing things, and it could be little things to start doing that because when I go out and I journal and I am outside and I'm listening to water, that's the cause I'm creating to then bring forward the effect of being able to live out in the middle of nature. Does that
Mm,
make sense?
yes.
Okay. And then the last one. So those correspond to all of those seven principles. The last one is yield to divine timing.
Wait, what
And the
about
beauty.
tea?
Oh, I did miss T. Thank you.
You said
I was
I, and
getting
then I was
so
like,
excited about
wait,
that
where's
one.
the
I'm so
tea?
sorry. Okay, so T is all about trusting your intuition. And our intuition comes in the form of masculine and feminine. So that aligns with the law of gender. Thank you for catching that. I was so excited. I'm like, wait until you hear this one. But it aligns with the law of gender. So balancing our inner and masculine feminine. So like I talked about before, that feminine comes in as a download. My masculine, maybe the download comes in and I have this really beautiful gift of healing that I want to give to the world. Well, the download comes in and then now I put on a workshop, a free workshop where I get to share all of that. But I have to trust my intuition. Kind of like what you were saying about being indecisive. You're like, now I'm just trusting what divine source is bringing me. That's about trusting your intuition because it comes in as a hit, right? Or a download, however you want to say it. And then we get to choose to put that into action, which is then that masculine energy. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now on to the last one, which is yield to divine timing. It really does harmonize all of the all seven hermetic principles. It's bringing them all together and it's anchoring in the flow that you are in the right place at the right time. So whenever we start thinking, oh, I should be so much further ahead than now, I'm going to tell you that's your ego and your logical mind telling you a lie because we are always right where we need to be. because we have to, it means that we still have steps or something that we need to go through, either to acquire wherever that place is that we're supposed to be, and things that we need to learn along the way. So don't ever discount yourself if you don't feel like you're further ahead than what you're supposed to be, because and also there's no such thing as linear time. Our human minds create that. So when we're talking about being in the quantum or the harmonic resonance, you are in the perfect place at the perfect time of where you need to be. And you just need to be in the flow. Just harmonize all of these things, because when you use these principles and you use these practical tools that I gave you with the clarity method, it will continue to move you forward into that place, into that person that you're I'm going to say that you're remembering you are. Because we came in a certain way, and then we got stuffed in the box, and we gotta peel the layers off to get back to our original way of being. And
Mhm.
that's really what we're doing, is we're coming home to ourselves. And the moment that we come home to ourselves, we are pure source energy.
I love that. And one of the things that was coming up in my mind was like, what if someone really does feel like they're not happy where they are right now? So following these steps and harmonizing to a different frequency and going
Hmm.
through the clarity method and choosing intentional things that align with that new frequency will shift them. And even quantum wise, right? Like you said, quantum wise,
Hmm.
you never know, like something magical might happen that will put you right on that timeline.
Exactly, because if I'm going to say if you follow the clarity method, and it doesn't have to be in linear order because things happen to us at different times, you know. It could be that I am experiencing, integrating the truth, where I'm going to put into motion the Hermetic principle of cause and effect. That might be where you are at the time. But I telling you, I know with certainty if you use the clarity method, even if you're in a space where you're like, I'm just not really happy where I am right now, if you use these method along with any other tools that you have, because I'm not saying other tools and modalities are wrong, but these correlate with those principles, and any time that we align with the principles, we will get centered and balanced and align with that harmonic resonance. And the clarity method is just practical steps to help you harmonize. And it's easier to give steps on how to harmonize than be like, this is what you need to do all at once. And know that every time, if you just something comes up and you're like, well, I'm going to channel the now. Like, where am I? Where are my thoughts? Like, what am I feeling? Where are these beliefs stemming from? The moment that you go into that space, and I really mean in, because you're going inward, all of these are bringing you inward, you will automatically start to like harmonize with that like with that field. And
Well,
so,
can you walk us through maybe that particular step as your
sure.
exercise? Because we always do like a little experiential piece
Sure.
in the podcast.
Yeah, but it can be super simple. And like this one is the one, like I'm gonna tell you, people, I'm like, you channel the now anytime you go into a meditation or when we talk about an activation, because we're really going into ourselves. So go ahead and just close your eyes. And what I want you to do, hold on, open your eyes again. I want you to cross your fingers like this. And I
Oh,
just want you to it doesn't matter. And I want you to put them on your heart. And now I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to just take a deep breath in, knowing that that energy is coming right into that heart space. And then just blow it out. Taking another deep breath in and releasing. And then finally, you're going to do a third deep breath in. And then it can be as simple as, where am I at now? What thoughts am I thinking of right now? And I don't want you to have judgment over those thoughts. I just want you to feel them, acknowledge them. And then what is creating this thought or thoughts that I'm having right now? And then where is this thought deeper inside of me? And it could be too, who created this thought? Is this my thought? Or is this a thought that I heard that I now took it on as being my own? And by the way, if you took it on as being your own, there is a belief in there where that it's connecting. But I just want you to feel that inside. And the moment that we connect with our thoughts, if you notice, we're not, there's nothing else that's going on. We are channeling the now. We are channeling the energy of the now, and we are in the present moment. And anytime that we want to do any type of healing or belief work or anything like that, we have to be in the moment, right here, right now. And just breathe that in. All we're doing, we're just recognizing what it is. Nothing more, nothing less. We are just recognizing what it is and where we are in the moment right now. And just breathe that in. And anytime that, I'm going to tell you, anytime that you start with channeling the now, when we start really tapping into the law of mentalism and identifying those thoughts, we actually will pull those thoughts in some more. And then again, then we can go through the clarity method. Whatever next step is works for you. And we can then choose how we want to then feed the field. So maybe we have a thought that says that I'm not good enough, right? So now we want to move into the next one. Okay, so I have this thought that I'm not good enough. What is the belief that's connected to that thought? And I'm going to tell you the moment that you ask that question, your subconscious is going to pull up all these different things that come up. Well, I'm not good enough because I didn't win that award from like 10 years ago. I'm not good enough because my mom told me that I need to do better. You'll feel it. It'll flood in if you're really paying attention to your thoughts. And all of that is just your subconscious, just letting you know where all the frequencies of that web are connected. So now bring it in even deeper, right? And ask yourself, what is it about this belief that makes me believe that it is the right thing to choose in this moment? And by saying that, we are actually closing the loop and we are connecting to our subconscious because the subconscious is going, well, wait a minute, wait a minute. What do you mean it's the right belief? This is just a pattern that I've been playing. Because I'm going to guess the majority of you, the moment that I asked that question, it probably came up, but there was like a sense of resistance in that. And just ask yourself, what is it about this belief that I choose it to be true? And even if you get something that comes up and says, well, I have really bad luck and nothing ever works out for me, then we're going to go into embodying that. We're going to embody the essence, but we're going to do it two ways. You're going to feel that essence because I have really bad luck. It never works for me. I can feel it. It feels so heavy. So the moment that it feels heavy, we know that it is not a truth. And so we can ask ourselves, we can ask our subconscious, show me the times when I had quote unquote good luck. Show me the time when I was successful at doing something and that shows that I am enough. And your subconscious is going to play this because we have now tapped into that just by the type of questioning we did. And now that we have that, we want to access the timeline where I no longer have bad luck because I'm not good enough. What are the timelines? What is the timeline that I want where I am good enough? Is that like my mom cheering for me on the sideline? Is that just me feeling so fulfilled and happy and joyful inside? Maybe it's a timeline where I'm going out and I'm sharing my healing energy or my gift with everyone. We want to access that timeline. But we also want to be open enough to be like, okay, so what is the polarity of this timeline? Well, the polarity of this timeline might be that I'm sitting at home in my room in darkness, right? Feeling so alone and so isolated as if like I don't exist in this world. And I'm being extreme. But know that the current timeline that you are on when we are when we are talking about polarities and we're talking about timelines, you are always in the middle, which is that neutral standpoint of polarity. And it may not seem like it, but it truly is because you're in the center of that because the good one is, I I'm totally influencing and making a huge difference in the world where I'm sitting isolated in my room. So you are actually in the neutral position. And now you could choose whatever timeline you want, no judgment. And let's step into integrating that truth. I want you to start thinking and feeling, or maybe even seeing yourself embodying the conscious choice that you want. So if the conscious choice is, I want that higher timeline, we're going to start integrating that truth by making a commitment to make one step towards that. Whether that's journaling, whether that's waking up every morning and looking in the mirror and being like, I am enough. I am this incredible badass, whatever it is that you want it to be, and make it something that you will do, not something that sounds good, something that you will do. So, my conscious choice of taking a step further to that house is when weather permits, because I live in Arizona, I'm going to sit outside and I'm going to journal and I'm going to listen to water because I know that's something I can do. But even if I'm inside, I can still journal and listen to water. And that is a choice that I'm doing every day to create the effect of moving to out in the middle of nowhere in nature for me. And now let's move into trusting your intuition, right? Which aligns with gender. I want you to feel into that. And I just want you to ask your higher mind, just intuitively, whether it comes through seeing, knowing, feeling, or even just synchronicities, because synchronicities are intuition. Just ask it to show you. And it may not show you in this moment, but it may show you 2 days later when you're out in the world and somebody says, oh my God, check out this house I'm selling. And it's perfect within my budget. And I could have it now, right? So I want you to just feel into your intuition, however it comes. And maybe your intuition just gives you a feeling of just feeling so much better. That's an intuitive hit. And because I feel better, I can choose to balance it with the masculine of taking that one step forward. And maybe the masculine is I create a vision board of it. And then lastly, take a deep breath in. And we're going to harmonize all of these together. And you need to, and you, not that you need, but like, I would love for you to trust that you are in the perfect place at the perfect time. Because if you weren't, you would not have been able to create or walk through these steps of the clarity method and connecting to those seven harmonic principles because it is in this time right now at this moment when all of this needed to happen because now you know what choice to make to move forward. Now you know how to allow your intuition to guide you. Now you know what that pattern is and where it was located that you no longer want, that no longer serves you, but now you have a way forward, even if it's a small way forward or maybe it's a big way forward. Now you know a way forward. But you would not have all of that if it wasn't right here, right now, in this perfect timing. And now just go ahead and take a deep breath in, bringing your hands back to your heart. As you take a deep breath in, releasing, another deep breath in, embodying all that you just did and created because you are a powerful being, and releasing. And then another deep breath in, as deep as it can go, releasing. And when you release, you can just let your hands drop and go ahead and open your eyes.
Thank you so much for walking us through the whole exercise. I thought we were just going to go through one little section and you walked us through the entire
It
thing.
did because I was just gonna do the first one, but then I kept getting pushed to keep going so that people have an understanding of that.
Well,
So
thank you.
yeah, so that's part of it. And like I said, some of the clarity method, you might be kind of stuck in locating the pattern for a little bit longer. But um I'm gonna say like that's part of the work that I do. Like part of what I'm doing is I'm feeling in your energy and I'm moving you along. Like, and what I mean by moving you along is I'm just helping expand that space so that you can move, so you can choose how you want to move along. Um, yeah, and plus I think it was your fault, Nikki, why I kept going. And I mean that in a positive way because you're in front of me, so I was feeling into your energy of I was being snoopy and snooping in your energy. And I could just feel it. So, anyways, it's not your fault, but you know what I mean.
It's interesting because I kind of like, I don't know, like I was being guided to do something completely different. Like, is that okay?
Why wouldn't it be? Like
Okay.
that's part of that's part of like trusting your intuition, right? So that's one of the things. Like I watch you through each step, but you know, like when I work with you, like it may be like that's where you go. So let's explore that because that's not anything wrong. It's just that's just part of your intuition guiding you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, I know I walked you through all of these steps, but normally when I work with somebody, like we'll start at one thing and we'll have a conversation with it. Like what's happening? Where are you? Where do we need to go from there? But eventually I'm going to tell you all of these steps and all of these principles will come into play.
Awesome. So this leads us right into your free gift. Would you like to share that with us?
Yeah, so my free gift, I have been well, download, very guided to create a community where just a community of women for all of us to come together. Inside this community, I call it the Clarity Method Collective. Inside this community, you will really learn about the seven Hermetic principles as they correlate with the clarity method and how to really use them. And what I mean by use them in a way that works for you, not the way that I tell you to do it or anybody else tells you to do it. So Nikki, the fact that you brought up, you're like, I was kind of like going in another direction. That's a beautiful example of being able to use these principles in this method according to who you are. And so that's really is how it's designed is to follow what your lead is because you're going to know the best, you know better than anybody else what's best for you. So in that community, twice a month we're gonna have kind of like a group mentoring where we talk about them and we share about them. I'm gonna tell you, you want to talk about resources, there are a ton of resources in there because part of this is also our own well-being, mind, body, and spirit, and everything that's connected, even to our 3D world of financial and everything else. So there is a whole bunch of resources in there about that, resources about the clarity method, resources about the principles. There are tools that you can use and workbooks to help you work through these. Um, I also have interviews from other healers and speakers so that you can learn from them and the things that they do. So you may find somebody that you connect with that really helps in one of the interviews. I have a inside that community, it is designed for all of us to come together and to support one another. So there is a wins board because we have to celebrate our wins no matter how big and small they are because especially as women, we usually are told to sweep them under the rug. And that is not what this community is. This is all about girl power. Like you share your win. I don't even care if your win was I got out of bed today. We are going to cheer you on because that is a massive win. And that's how it's going to be seen. It's all about support and upliftment and just really supporting one another. I also offer office hours 2 times a month. So if you need some sort of intuitive guidance, wisdom, you have a question about what it is that we're doing, you can ask that and I'll help provide insight. And it's just a lot of fun things. It's a community of really just coming together as women, supporting women and empowering one another because we are coming into that feminine rising. We need that. No more are the days of competition. It's all about honoring each other exactly in the space that we are at, in the moment that we are at. And that's what this community is all about. So I am offering a free 2-week trial. And then after that, it's up to you whether you want to stick with it or not. I hope that you do, but you get a lot in there. And then also, if you are part of the community, you do get a discount on any of my single services that I offer, which is really doing the clarity method according to your design of who you are.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Kelly, for sharing that. And I can attest that your community, like you built it with so much love because you have so much resources in there.
I did. I
Yes.
wanted it to be a place that people could go to where they can find what it is that they need. And I'm also open if you're like, hey, I really feel like I need this, you let me know. And like Nikki, you know that I will sit down and I will tap in and try to create it because I just want it to be just the supportive community. And again, it is specifically for women, not that I'm purposely leaving men out, but it's time for us to get out from under that dark cloud of We're not allowed, like, we're being too much. We're not allowed to be too much. We're too emotional. You need to, like, stop being so dramatic. To me, that's BS. We are women, like, hear us roar. Like, we will be too much. We will be too loud. We will be as emotional as we want to. Like, we will be who we came here to be. And you and I have had the conversation way back in Egyptian times, even beyond that. Women were known as the leaders, not men. And
Mm.
so we're coming back into that time. Again, I'm not knocking men because we all have masculine and feminine, but women, it's time for women to really step back into that power that we had lost so long ago.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom with us today. And thank you everyone for tuning in. I will have all of Kelly's links right below this video. Make sure you grab her a free gift and be a part of her community because it's incredible as you have seen through the practices we went through today. And with that said, I look forward to seeing everybody in the next episode.